What do the following have in common? A desert like something out of the movies, which is unique in Europe. A beautiful place where even the roundabouts are remarkable. A coast which writes the history of the earth in pages of rock. A lake with dark waters redolent with history. And a canyon with huge walls which take your breath away. The answer is that they all form part of the most spectacular natural spaces of Spain. All the rain which falls in a whole year on each square meter of this territory amounts to little more than a glass of water. This harsh, arid environment, which in summer reaches temperatures of 50 degrees Celsius, gives a view of what is an immense geological museum. We are in the only desert on the European continent. A desert out of a film. The desert of Tabernas. Although it is hard to imagine, this place was submerged beneath the sea millions of years ago. Today, furrowed by gullies and crossed by wadis, torrential rivers from the desert which only leave mud and stones as they pass, this beautiful landscape is an impressive one. The desert of Tabernas is surrounded by 3 mountain chains which isolate it from the humid currents of the Mediterranean. It's over 3,000 hours of sunlight, extreme temperatures, and poor soil with scanty vegetation to retain the moistness help to form a terrain which is very easily eroded and known as badlands. The formations are of great beauty and are those characteristic of deserts. Gullies, plains, slopes. Its geological interest is complemented by the considerable value of its flora and fauna, with species unique to the European continent or even found nowhere else in the world. What has made Tabernas famous, however, is that between the 1960s and 1980s, this desert became a huge film set for major cinema productions, such as Cleopatra, Conan, and Indiana Jones, in addition to numerous spaghetti westerns. In order to shoot these films, as many as 14 villages were built, some of which survive, and these have today become a tourist attraction. Indeed, the remains of old film sets may appear anywhere. Houses, mines, and the refreshing oasis which allowed Lawrence of Arabia to rest. Tabernas is a place straight out of a film. a surprising geological treasure. A desert unique in Europe, full of landscapes as desolate as they are spectacular. They say that this is the largest roundabout in Europe and one of the most beautiful in the world. It is so large that within it rises a hill almost 200 meters high in the form of an islet formed by the waters of the reservoir of La Serena, the Cerro Masatrigo. Known as the Magic Mountain by the Knights Templar of old who inhabited the area, this natural monument in a perfect conical shape resembling a pyramid is the symbol of one of the most surprising and little-known places of Spanish geography, La Siberia extremeña. Its peculiar name is due to the fact that this extensive and thinly populated territory remained isolated over time virtually without communication routes. La Siberia has been declared a biosphere reserve and is a rich mosaic of ecosystems. Sierras split by spectacular rocky areas, immense plains and valleys, rañas and dehesas, wetlands, and pseudo-steppes, open areas of pastures and crops. But there is no doubt that water plays the leading role here. This is because the extremeña Siberia has more kilometers of inland coast than anywhere else in Spain. Its numerous reservoirs formed by the waters of the river Guadiana and the river Zújar, and its blue flag beaches, such as that of Peloche, are both a tourist attraction and an exceptional place for fauna. The wide extensions of fresh water, together with the pasture lands of the dehesa, provide ideal conditions for the arrival each winter of birds from northern Europe. Over 10,000 cranes congregate in the extremeña Siberia every year. These landscapes are thus a dream for bird lovers, as a multitude of species live in or visit this strategic spot to take advantage of its great variety of ecosystems. Hundreds of griffon vultures nest at the spectacular rock colony of Puerto Peña. They are sentinels who defiantly watch over the folds and hollows of the rugged quartzite clefts. 16 vantage points provide excellent panoramic views of landscapes in which it is easy to discover the fauna of the area. There are also observatories from which to watch one of the major events of the end of the summer, the rut of the red deer. In the interior of La Siberia, the river narrows to form the gorges of the Guadiana and the passage of the Tabla de la Murciana. Here the rocks appear to be stony bastions guarding the river. When the water level is low, the bridge of La Mesta can be seen nearby. This construction in the Mudéjar style was built at some time between the 13th and 15th centuries and was part of the drovers' road known as the Cañada Real Segoviana. In former times, livestock passed this way on their seasonal migration. La Siberia extremeña is a space which remains to be discovered. A territory with a wide variety of habitats, containing an exuberant flora and fauna, and fascinating landscapes marked by the beauty of the ever-present water. Its inhospitable name does it no justice, as this Siberia envelops us in a generous and warm embrace. still have many amazing places to visit, such as one of the largest cork oak woods in the world, a tremendous karst environment with tens of kilometers of caves, and a valley which fills with magic every autumn. Surrounded by oaks, beeches, and holm oaks, the River Guareña interrupts its passage, forced to disappear abruptly as if swallowed up by the earth. In the sinkhole of Ojo Guareña, its waters tumble towards the interior of a mountain which weighs little as it is perforated by over 110 kilometers of cavities and galleries. This high plateau in the north of the province of Burgos is a huge karst complex, the second largest on the Iberian Peninsula and one of the 10 largest in the world. The main network consists of 14 connected caves. But the force of the waters of the River Guareña and the River Terma have eaten up the limestone at different levels to create over 400 cavities. The most emblematic spot of this environment, which was inhabited by our ancestors for over 15,000 years, is the fruit of this interaction between man and nature. This humble Sistine Chapel in rock, painted by different hands between the 18th and 19th centuries, is one of the most extraordinary monuments of religious art. A natural cave converted into a chapel, it is known as the Ermita de San Bernabé, although the frescoes which decorate its irregular vault relate the miracles and torments of another saint, San Tirso. This sanctuary, embedded in the rock wall, is the most representative and most surprising image of Ojo Guareña. Although the true treasure is concealed within. A labyrinth sculpted by the erosion of the water on the limestone. Underground river courses have shaped this universe of galleries, caves, lakes, abysses, and sinkholes. Like immobile waterfalls of stone, the outflows recall the torrents of water which created these hollows. Immense galleries through which the rivers with their impetus made way over time. Palomera Cave is a small but important sample of this huge karst complex. An erosive process which began 2 million years ago and is still continuing. Small formations adorn its huge galleries, which culminate in the Dolencias Abyss, where the waters of the Villa Martín stream fall from its open peak at a height of 60 meters. The horseshoe bat colonies which occupy the cave are witnesses to the tireless work of these rivers which undermine the entrails of the earth in the dark. It is the natural monument of Ojo Guareña, which is proof that beauty can also be found in the void. It's said that this lake is bottomless, that a being living in its depths devours all that falls into it, that through underwater caves, its dark waters reach the sea. Even if none of this is true, magic and mystery still cling to this place. Enveloped both by legends and by immense rock walls, this fascinating landscape is the Laguna Negra. Located in the Sierra of the Picos de Urbión in the north of the province of Soria, the so-called abyss of its waters is in fact barely 10 meters deep, but lies at an altitude of over 1,700 meters. A natural landscape created by the erosive power of ice. During the Quaternary period, a glacier occupied the whole of this territory. It descended from the Pico de Urbión by the rocky belt which surrounds the Laguna Negra. Today, the waters of the latter fill the base, which has been heavily excavated by the immense pressure of the mass of ice of this former glacial cirque. The promontory which surrounds the lake is also the fruit of the activity of the glacier. A moraine formed by the accumulation of earth and stone, which it swept away as it passed. The view opens up to show exuberant forests of pines, beeches, oaks and firs, pasture lands, rocky outcrops, streams and waterfalls. This is because the vegetation of the Laguna Negra is more characteristic of the north of Europe than of the Iberian Peninsula. The cool atmosphere and the abundant rainfall have allowed the conservation and development of the largest stand of Scots pine on the continent. A landscape which recalls the northern forests of Siberia. The alternation of wooded areas and open spaces of mountain encourages the existence of a very diverse fauna. Its disturbing beauty inspired writers such as Antonio Machado, who set here the action of one of his stories. This increased the fame of this place, in which legend and reality has coexisted for centuries. A matchless natural environment enveloped by endless pine woods. Waterfalls slipping between the rocks, and threatening peaks silhouetted against the heights. The Laguna Negra offers an impressive scene to the visitor. The imposing natural wall formed by the clefts of granite which surround it is extended vertically in its reflection in its motionless waters. Waters which, like a polished mirror, still appear to conceal beneath their surface the odd mystery. This is an open cast book on geology. Each stratum is a page barely a few centimeters thick, which has been slowly written for 10,000 years. One after another, the layers of petrified sediment succeed each other over 13 kilometers of coastline on a route which includes 60 million years of the history of the Earth. This is a surprising landscape embedded among green karst mountains and the Cantabrian Sea. The Geopark of the Costa Vasca. Its cliffs, which are located in the province of Guipúzcoa, are a real treasure. It is not for nothing that they are included on the list of the 100 most relevant sites of geological heritage in the world. This is one of the best spots on the planet for contemplating a spectacular formation of flysch. Layers of sedimentary rock formed in deep marine environments. Flysch is characterized by presenting a succession of strongly defined strata in which hard layers such as limestone and sandstone alternate with soft layers such as marls and clays. The result of this differential erosion, which has worn the soft layers to make the hard ones stand out, is this environment of amazing beauty. Deposited over 60 million years from the Lower Cretaceous to the Eocene, the sediments gradually accumulated on the seabed until they reached a thickness of 5,000 meters. The collision between the Iberian and the European tectonic plates during the Alpine orogeny folded and fractured these horizontal layers as if they were plasticine, lifting the materials from the sea floor. Millions of years of the geological evolution of the Earth were left exposed to provide us with an important register of the past events of our planet. Overheating, astronomic cycles which altered the climate every 20,000 and 100,000 years, and in addition, massive extinctions such as that suffered by the dinosaurs. This succession of cliffs and rock strata in layers constitutes a geological sanctuary of unsurpassable scientific value, which has attracted researchers from all over the world. Although the current coast is barely 10,000 years old, at low tide we can see the traces of the retreat of the cliffs in the form of an extensive horizontal landform known as a wave-cut platform. The ancient coastline, which was consumed by the incessant erosion of the Cantabrian Sea, extends 5 kilometers offshore. The flysch of the Geopark of the Basque Coast makes this natural space a place full of magic. Piled up one after another without interruption, this collection of stony snapshots make us feel insignificant compared with the vast extent of a landscape made of space and time. A carpet of fern spreads beneath these trees, which seem to keep themselves warm beneath thick mosses. They are privileged beings because they form part of one of the largest woods of cork oaks in the world. The plentiful water and the vibrant colors of its vegetation make this one of the most refreshing landscapes of Andalusia. The Nature Reserve of Los Alcornocales. Its special microclimate, with abundant rainfall, mist, and mild temperatures, which is similar to those of subtropical areas such as Micronesia, has encouraged the growth of an exuberant and outstanding vegetation, the laurel forest. An extraordinary natural heritage which has earned it the title of the last Mediterranean jungle in Europe. This nature reserve, located in the province of Cádiz and part of that of Malaga, is one of the largest in Spain. A surface area of almost 1,700 square kilometers, with a great variety of relief forms and landscapes of great beauty. The richness provided by the water in the form of abundant rivers and streams, together with the humidity from the coast, encourages the existence of dense jungle-type woodland on the upper courses of the rivers and in deep narrow valleys known as canutos. These conditions are ideal for the survival of the laurel forest, a relic form of vegetation which existed throughout the Mediterranean basin during the Tertiary period. This humid woodland with a mild climate, which nowadays has virtually disappeared from continental Europe, is formed of perennial trees with hard, shiny leaves which exploit the humidity and the little light penetrating the dense groves which border the canutos. Laurels, cork oaks, Portuguese oaks, and rhododendrons are covered in moss and ferns in this generous garden. Its proximity to the Straits of Gibraltar makes it an ornithological paradise, as birds migrating between Europe and Africa must needs pass through it. The area holds the largest population of ichneumons on the continent. This mammal is the only mongoose to be found in Europe. The reserve is also worthy of its name, as the largest productive stand of cork oak on the Iberian Peninsula is found here. The extraction of the cork is one of the most important resources of the reserve. Each tree needs 9 years to regenerate its bark. The richness of the soil, the humidity, and the traditional exploitation have preserved this large centenary forest, which is one of the many treasures of the dense hillsides of the nature reserve of Los Alcornocales. A spot where the vegetation is so abundant that it overwhelms the senses. We've seen incredible places, but we still have many more to discover. A surprising spot with an even more surprising fauna awaits us. And an open-air museum in which the sculptures are enchanted. The Pico Pinajarro contemplates from its peak at an altitude of 2,100 meters the thick oak and chestnut woodlands which surround it. A valley of contrasts opens at its foot. A place full of scrub and heather in flower on the upper areas, and of dehesa pasture lands dotted with holm oaks and cork oaks on the valley floor. A place where rivers, streams, and waterfalls nourish a leafy vegetation with beautiful riverside woodland which serves as a refuge for numerous animals. This varied catalogue of landscapes is the Valle del Ambroz. Located to the south of the mountains in the Sistema Central, Down through the centuries, the Valle del Ambroz has been the natural passage between Castile and Extremadura. An environment with great historical and cultural richness as Vetons, Romans and Jews settled here. Although if it stands out for anything, it is its natural beauty. This privileged environment is marked by its extensive forests of oaks and chestnuts, lined by streams and rivers such as the Ambroz, near the source of which there is a spectacular waterfall 15 meters in height, the Chorrera de Herbás. Part of the path which leads to it follows the infrastructure which was built in the late 19th century to bring electricity to this municipality and boost its textile industry. Here, visitors can enjoy this impressive waterfall and the luxuriant vegetation which surrounds it. The beauty of these woods reaches its height each autumn when the golden, reddish and ochre leaves which cover the ground and the branches of oaks and chestnuts make this landscape a spectacle of colors. A magical place. This is so to such an extent that for over 25 years, the Magic Autumn Festival has been held here in November. The event has been declared of national tourist interest and is an excellent way of enjoying these spectacular landscapes. The jewel in the crown of the Valle del Ambroz is the Galician chestnut grove of Herbás. With its 300 hectares, it is one of the largest and best preserved in the south of Europe. It owes its name to the wife of King Alfonso X, Violante of Aragon, who was of Galician origin and who in the 13th century donated these lands to their inhabitants so that the village could be populated and livestock could be raised anew. For centuries, this woodland has been an important source of local resources. Mushrooms, chestnuts, and the wood used for furniture and basket making. Despite this, even today the Galician chestnut grove of Herbás holds centenary trees and examples of up to 30 meters tall. Their dense fan-shaped treetops create a cool, humid environment which makes an ideal home for a wide variety of flora and fauna. The beauty of this place and its endless range of yellows, oranges, reds and ochres enchants us like an illusion which appears each year before our eyes, as if by magic. This is one of the most outstanding natural environments of Europe. An open cast mine exploited for millennia, which has shaped a peculiar landscape, through which today stroll bears, lions, rhinoceroses, and elephants. Because this former iron mine has been transformed into an amazing park which holds over 120 species of animals. This place of rugged relief, reddish earth and fauna from all the continents is the Cabárceno Nature Park. Located on the Peña Cabarga Massif, barely 20 kilometers from Santander, this terrain rich in iron has been exploited from antiquity to the present day. The degradation of the landscape, the fruit of several millennia of mining activity, has shaped some original landscape elements, such as the sharp karst needles, some of which are over 20 meters long, which emerged on excavating the clays which covered them. Defiles and walls of rock, labyrinthine paths dug out by hand, shafts and reddish slag heaps. A landscape which has been modified by the hand of man twice. The inauguration of the park in 1990 meant the blocking up of shafts opened up by the mining, reforestation, and the building of the animals' enclosures and the network of roads which cross the park. This is considered to be one of the best environmental recoveries of a mine existing anywhere in the world. With over 750 hectares, Cabárceno is the largest park in Europe of this type. A space in which over 100 species live in semi-freedom in spacious enclosures. This is the largest brown bear reserve in Europe, with over 80 animals, and the largest community of African elephants outside Africa. Also, the largest enclosure for gorillas on the continent. Its installations are among the most highly valued by the bodies in charge of controlling the living conditions of animals. Cabárceno is not only a leisure park, it is also a center with educational, cultural, and scientific aims. A pioneer in captive breeding programs and a point of reference in the conservation of endangered species. Cabárceno Nature Park has become one of the most popular tourist attractions in the north of Spain, with over 600,000 visitors per year. A surprising environment with curiously beautiful landscapes, inhabited by an even more surprising fauna. This is one of the most extraordinary open-air museums in existence. Sculptures boldly worked by water, wind, and ice. Nature and imagination come together here to take us on a journey in which figures, objects, and animals appear and disappear from sight. A magical place where visitors become children. The enchanted city of Cuenca. Surrounded by extensive pine woods in the heart of the hills of Cuenca, the enchanted city is one of the most impressive calcareous landscapes in Spain. Karst modeling in a very advanced stage, in which erosion has broken up most of the terrain. Furrows and grooves originating from fractures and lines of weakness in the rock have been strongly perforated and widened to form passageways and alleyways which have created this universe of stone on coming together. A large-scale process of erosion. A spectacular geological formation which is known as megalapia. As limestone is so porous, it allows the infiltration of rainwater, which as it is loaded with carbon dioxide, easily breaks down the rock to form galleries. The result is the creation of these amazing karst formations. The different degrees of hardness and the composition of the ground have encouraged the uneven wear of the materials. The famous Tormo Alto, the icon of the enchanted city, is one of the best examples of this differential erosion. Its upper part, which is more resistant, is supported by a narrow base, which gives it its characteristic mushroom shape. This ancient seabed, which emerged by tectonic thrust in the late Cretaceous period, was gradually eroded for millions of years to create a mineral fantasy set with lumps, bridges, towers, passages, galleries, and caves. A great variety of natural sculptures christened with evocative names by popular imagination, such as the seal, which is playing with a ball on its snout, the tortoise, the fight between the elephant and the crocodile, which form a natural bridge with their bodies, the lovers of Teruel, two heads about to kiss each other, the man's face, the most photographed monument, which with its unusual sculpture recalls the Moai of Easter Island, the door to the convent, a narrow passageway known as the Slide, and the Stone Sea, a wide expanse which appears to move as if it were liquid. The enchanted city of Cuenca, with its complex network of streets and stony buildings, regales us with a work of art at every turn. It is a fascinating place where water and rock are maintained united by time in a relation which is as destructive as it is creative. Flanked by huge rock walls, the river Duero crosses dozens of kilometers of uneven terrain. Its banks speak different languages, as here it serves as a natural frontier between Spain and Portugal. An impressive horizon where the views are a delight. But it's hard on the legs. The nature reserve of Arribes del Duero. Located where Portugal meets the provinces of Salamanca and Zamora, Arribes del Duero is one of the most impressive natural environments on the Iberian Peninsula. A rugged canyon with escarpments which reach 400 meters in height and envelop the river in its middle section. This surprising landscape, which resembles the course of a young river, owes its uniqueness to the moment of the formation of the basin of the Duero. In the Tertiary period, the whole of the plateau of Castile was a gigantic inland lake, until a river rising from the Atlantic Ocean reached this closed basin to give it an outlet to the sea. Encouraged by the difference in altitude and the faults in the terrain, in the Quaternary period, the huge flow of water gradually undermined the hard granite materials to form the deeply embedded Los Arribes. And when it couldn't perforate the rock, it passed over it. With this great leap into the void, the river Uces overcomes a fall of 50 meters on its way to the Duero. This is the Pozo de los Humos, or Well of Smoke, one of the most famous waterfalls of the geography of Spain. Its name is due to the spray which results from the impact, which seems to envelop the environment in a cloud of smoke. The shining mantle of water, in contrast with the granite and the vegetation, makes a spectacular image. Contemplating its persistent onslaught is a hypnotic experience. Arribes del Duero envelops us in this imposing setting. Along more than 100 kilometers, the river follows a dizzying canyon, which the visitor can look out onto from numerous vantage points. The continental climate of the peneplain, which is characteristic of the area, coexists with the Mediterranean climate in the valleys. This deep fissure sheltered from the winds condenses the heat, which means that the walls of the gorge are covered with rich and varied vegetation. The heavy flow of the Duero and its tributaries, together with the considerable differences in altitude, make this one of the areas with the greatest hydroelectric potential on the Iberian Peninsula. Once wild, its waters have now been dammed and flow peacefully in curious opposition to the stony agitation of its clefts, which are enlivened by the continuous movement of birds. Because here, there is one of the largest colonies of griffon vultures in Europe. With their majestic flight, they seem to wish to be the guardians of this fascinating place. A panorama which is wild, powerful, rugged, and beautiful, exceptionally beautiful. In our next program, we will travel to new spectacular natural spaces, such as a citadel of stone full of surprising spots, the largest Mediterranean woodland on the planet, a gigantic wave which inundates the coast with sand, and a majestic cathedral worked in the entrails of the earth. You won't want to miss it.